If you're shopping for a birdcage right now, the tricky part isn't choosing a brand, it's working out how much cage your bird actually needs before you commit a corner of your home to it. Buy too small, and you'll be buying twice. Buy the wrong shape, and your bird has room to climb but nowhere to fly. I've lined up 7 cages that get this right, from compact apartment setups to flight cages you could practically walk into. And every link is sitting for you in the description. Let's dive in. First up is the Viscu 46-inch, and this is the one I'd hand to anyone with a small bird who's a little too clever for their own good. The whole build leans on reinforced, tightly woven metal barwork, which means there's simply no gap wide enough for a lovebird or a cockatiel to wedge a head into, and that quietly removes the scariest accident in small bird ownership. It ships with wooden perches instead of the slick plastic dowels bundled with most cages, and that matters more than it sounds, because a natural, uneven surface keeps foot pressure shifting around rather than pressing the same 2 points for years. You get a water bottle and feeder in the box, a slide-out tray at the front for the morning cleanup, and proportions that are genuinely wide rather than tall and skinny. The tray pulls clear without disturbing the bird inside, which sounds trivial until you realize you'll be doing it every single day for the next decade. Consider a parakeet who has already figured out how to open a food door with 1 foot, then taught the second bird to do the same. This is the cage that finally ends that game. Now, if your apartment is measured in square feet, you can count on your fingers. The Vivo Home 30-inch is the honest answer. It's the compact one here, wrought iron, mounted on a rolling stand with casters, so the entire setup glides from the living room to the bedroom while you vacuum. That mobility turns out to be the whole personality of this cage. Morning comes, you roll it toward the window so your canary gets an hour of real daylight. You roll it back into the corner before dinner guests arrive. And at night, it sits somewhere quiet where the television isn't flashing at 3 feet away. Compared with the Viscu, you're trading interior volume for a footprint that disappears into a studio, so it suits finches, canaries, and a single budgie beautifully, rather than a pair of energetic cockatiels. Perfect if space is your hard limit, though if you're planning on 2 birds, you'll want to keep reading. Speaking of which, the Zenny 53-inch is where things start feeling serious. This is a proper wrought iron flight cage, tall on its rolling stand with casters underneath, perches already installed, plastic feeders that pop out without you reaching your whole arm inside, and a slide-out tray that turns cleaning into a 30-second job instead of a weekly ordeal. What makes it stand out is the sheer horizontal run between the end walls. A cockatiel can genuinely take 3 or 4 wing beats between perches, and once you've watched that happen, you can't unsee how cramped most cages really are. Think about a Saturday morning with the blinds open and coffee going. Your cockatiel crosses from the left perch to the right one, turns around, does it again, then hangs off the sidebars to see what you're eating. That's normal behavior your bird has probably been storing up with nowhere to spend it, and a wide cage releases it. The value here is outstanding for what you're getting, and it's the natural upgrade for anyone whose bird has clearly outgrown a tabletop setup, a mid-range spend that buys a large cage experience. Here's where the list takes a turn, because the Yahitek 61-inch playtop isn't really competing on size at all. It's competing on what happens when the door opens. The top of this cage is a play area with a perch, ladder, and cups built in, so your bird has somewhere legitimate to be during out-of-cage time instead of colonizing your curtain rod. That single design decision changes daily life. I set one up expecting a gimmick and ended up watching a conure spend a full evening up there, shredding a toy, hopping down for food, climbing straight back, completely uninterested in the bookshelf he'd been terrorizing for months. For a social parrot, Quaker or conure who wants to be near you but needs a job to do, this is phenomenal. The playtop does add height, so measure your ceiling clearance first, and if you're the sort who wants 0 extra surfaces to wipe down, one of the closed-top options further along will suit you better. If the Yahitek is about activity, the Vivo Home 54-inch flips toward calm. Let's get the trade-off out in the open first. It's white, and white shows everything, so you'll be wiping seed dust and the odd splash more often than you would on a black frame. In exchange, you get a cage that doesn't look like industrial equipment parked in your living room. The powder-coated white finish sits comfortably in a bright, minimal room, and plenty of people choose it purely so the cage stops being the ugliest object they own. Underneath the styling, it's the same serious build as its larger siblings, wrought iron construction, rolling stand, casters, and a slide-out tray, with enough interior room for a pair of parakeets or a single cockatiel to move properly. Place it beside a sofa in a sunlit corner, and it reads as furniture rather than an appliance. That's not a small thing when the cage lives in the room where you spend your evenings, because a setup you enjoy looking at is a setup you keep in the middle of family life, instead of exiling to a spare bedroom. And birds do far better where the people are. The Yidahome 62-inch takes a completely different approach again, and it's aimed squarely at the daily grind of ownership. Multiple feeding doors are built into the sides, so refilling seed and water never requires opening the main door. And if you've ever tried to change food dishes while a bird treats your forearm as a hostile invasion of sovereign territory, you'll understand why that's worth real money. Hanging accessories come included, so you're not immediately ordering toys the same week. The rolling stand handles the weight without complaint, and there's generous vertical space for larger parrots to climb rather than just perch. Climbing matters for the bigger species, since a parrot who can work their way up and across the bars burns energy that would otherwise go into screaming at your smoke detector for beeping first. Set against the Zini, the Yidahome trades a little raw simplicity for far better access, which is the smarter deal if you're feeding 2 or 3 times a day. It's designed for people who prioritize convenience above everything else, and after a few weeks, that convenience compounds. Rounding things out is the Yahitech 64-inch open top, and it's a fantastic finish to this list. The roof section opens upward and converts into a perch, so your bird can step out and sit above the cage without a separate stand-eating floor space. Bar spacing is 3/8 of an inch, tight enough for parakeets and cockatiels while still being robust, and there's multi-door access all around, plus the easy clean slide tray you'd expect at this size. The rolling stand detaches, which sounds minor until you're moving the cage onto a covered patio for an afternoon of fresh air and natural light, then bringing it back inside before evening. That indoor-outdoor flexibility is rare at this scale. Next to the 61-inch playtop, the difference comes down to philosophy. The playtop gives your bird a designated station on the roof, while the open top hands over the entire top edge and lets them decide where to perch. It's the tallest option here, so it needs a dedicated spot rather than a temporary one. But for anyone who wants maximum bird freedom without maximum floor loss, nothing else on this list does it better. So which one is yours? If you have a small escape artist bird and safety is your only concern, the Viscu 46-inch is the clear pick, tight on space in an apartment or dorm, and the Vivahome 30-inch gives you a real cage on wheels that hides in a corner. Want the most flight room for a sensible spend? Take the Zenny 53-inch. For a social parrot who needs a job during out-of-cage hours, the Yahitech 61-inch playtop is unmatched. If you want something that fits a bright-styled room without shouting for attention, that's the Vivahome 54-inch. Feeding several times a day with a bird who guards the main door, the Yidahome 62-inch will save your patience. And for the biggest, most flexible setup that moves between indoors and out, the Yahitech 64-inch open top takes it. All the links are waiting in the description below, so grab whichever fits your bird and your space. Tell me in the comments which species you're setting up for. I'm curious what you all keep.